is the increasing cost of food items.
It's good you mentioned us there, Claire. That's true. The price of staple foods like rice, bread, especially bread, and vegetables have skyrocketed. Many Nigerians are struggling to make ends meet.
When was the last time you had a cup of tea with some slices of bread or a loaf of bread?
Please don't ask me that.
Well, I did. I actually bought a loaf of bread. I mean, this very small one at the rate of 1,000 naira. That's true. And so, food, all types of food items are becoming a major issue of concern, not just for people, Jume and I and other households, but also for the government. Now, with the National Bureau of Statistics reporting an increase in the consumer price index, now that is really, really alarming.
It's really alarming, and the government is actually aware of it and trying as much as they can to sort of cushion the effect, since President Tinubu assumed office, he declared a state of emergency on food insecurity, now which is a critical aspect of any nation's development to move forward.
Indeed, and on Monday, last Monday, I should say, during the Federal Executive Council meeting, the federal government, appealed to state governments to ensure effective distribution of the latest set of rice palliatives, totaling 740 trucks of rice, which we hear is now in the possession of state governments. And of course, that state government should also pay attention to food shortage across the country and ensure that the distribution is equitable and transparent.
Yes, that's what we'll be looking at, some of the challenges and prospects of ensuring that the most vulnerable get access to these food items. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Juma Yusuf.
And again, the government's rice distribution program aims to boost food security, support local farmers, reduce the country's reliance on imports. But there are questions to ask, as we've always, put across on this program. How effective, will this particular program be? Have we learned our lessons from previous experiences? And what might be the challenges? So, let me pause a while, welcome you properly. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurazak. As always, Jume and I are inviting you to get high.
On the program today.
Only on Good Morning Nigeria. And this is the fourth for the week. Jume.
That's not all, Claire. We have another conversation in the second part of the program, which is on digital trade, the renewed hope strategy. Like I said earlier, I am Juma Yusuf.
You haven't changed.
Yes, and you're welcome to the program. In the course of the program, Chukudi Okolo-Gbaja will be joining us at some point for the newspaper review. But let's get the highlights of the news from Dennis Adeguloye. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Jume and Claire.
When was the last time you bought bread? And
I bought bread yesterday, and I was just overwhelmed with how much bread is now costing. But we certainly look forward to when things will speedily improve.
Indeed.
All right, good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. In aligning with the federal government's ambition of providing appropriate remuneration for workers, the Senate has granted expeditious consideration to the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill transmitted by President Bola Tinubu. The amendments are to provide funding for the national minimum wage and key renewed hope capital projects omitted in the 2024 budget.
For renewed hope infrastructure projects and other critical infrastructure projects to be undertaken across the country.
All the proposals in this bill are laudable and will enhance the critical needs of the citizens of our dear country.
Meanwhile, the executive bill seeking to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act has scaled second reading at the House of Representatives. The bill contains President Tinubu's request for the House to approve 6.2 trillion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Fund for capital and recurrent expenditure in the 2024 fiscal year.
This is not supplementary, actually. It's called budget adjustments. So existing 2024 budget we are going to consider and amend so that those important critical projects can be executed.
The much expected students' loan scheme has taken off with President Bola Tinubu's launching of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund portal. At the launching, President Tinubu emphasized that his administration will continue to invest in education as the catalyst for general socio-economic development.
Without education, there is no development. Without education, you cannot even successfully conquer poverty, insecurity, and abuse in the society. Education is that light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how sluggish it moves, it will give you the light and the hope necessary to live a life. And we are investing in it. We don't want to try ignorance as alternative. We want education from foundation to the topmost level.
And the federal government has instructed the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to only issue mining licenses on the basis of local value addition. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the directive at the opening of the African Natural Resources and Energy Investment Summit in Abuja.
We recognize the losses incurred from exporting crude mineral commodities and understand that it is the time to change this narrative. By doing so, we aim to ensure that our teeming youth are actively engaged in economic activities, acquiring skills, and contributing to the nation's foreign exchange earnings.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Didi Esther Wolson-Jack as the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, with effect from August 14th. Wolson-Jack was appointed as Federal Permanent Secretary in 2017 and has served in several ministries. The new appointee will take over from the incumbent head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, who is due to retire on August 13th. President Tinubu, while thanking the outgoing head of service for her stewardship, tasks the incoming head of service to discharge her duties with innovative flair, integrity, and stringent adherence to the extant rules and regulations of the Civil Service of the Federation. And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Claire and Jume after this break. Please don't go away.
The federal government of Nigeria wants vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Bye, Mom. He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Raining season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
the counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Join body with your football buddy GoTV for correct goals and action. Ha! Sharply reconnect on top GoTV Max with 7,200 naira to touchlight La Liga, Serie A, Europa, and select Premier League games live on top SuperSport. GoTV, love it.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthened in unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Yeah, I don't want to share what Julie says, a combination of so many things. Anyway, let me welcome you once again to Good Morning Nigeria, and it's time for newspaper review in just a moment.
Well, our newspaper reviewer Chukwudi Okori-Waja is seated in the studio and he's giving us some laughs this morning.
You have to thank Providence that I went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would spill all the gossip between the two of you before the cameras, found you.
Thank God for the Sunday school.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You're gentlemen of the press.
Yeah. Good morning. Okay, let me start, Chume. Since you have bullied me into reading to this morning, let me just start with The Nation. And The Nation has a number of stories as always, but the lead story, Tinubu kicks off payment of 32 billion naira to students as loans. And this is good news coming. And it's also been, of course, emphasized by NANS. It's one of the riders there. It's a new dawn, says NANS. And NANS, of course, National Association of Nigerian Students. Now, about 103,000 applicants have been successful, and we hear that the institutions in the northern part of the country are ahead, of course, in this number. So, 103,000 student applicants are successful to benefit from the students' loan as President Tinubu kicks it off. That's about 32 billion naira worth of loans to be accessed by students. And you see probably President Tinubu presenting a dummy check to Obilaw Justice Ikechukwu, a student of Federal University of Technology, Owerri, FUTO, during that event yesterday. That's the picture story that you're seeing. And that's the lucky student, Justice Ikechukwu, student of FUTO, Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Congratulations to him, I should say that. And again, we have banks to pay tax on forex business gains. It's also trending on the right-hand column. Yes, to your right-hand column, that's to my left. And the President seeks addition of 6.2 trillion naira to 2024 budget. Varsity students shun hostels over fear of bandits attacks, says VC. It's on page 26. I don't know which of this university, but let me quickly see if I can find it. On page 26. Am I correct? On page 26. But page 26 has no...
It has change of name and change of everything. Just continue.
All right. Let's take you above the nation. Senate replaces Ndume as chief whip. APC asks senator to quit. Check page 5. Hopefully you'll find that story on page 5. Now, 401 Osun councils caretaker members resign. We uphold democracy. And court reinstates Shuaibu as Edo deputy governor. Judge Oke Tohodalo's candidacy in Edo. I know some people will be rejoicing over this now. Details of that story on page 6. You can find that. And quickly, PDP governor seek political solution to Rivers lock jam. It's also trending on the front page. Let me quickly leave the nation and quickly look at Blueprint. And Blueprint leads with, for the second time in 7 years, Ndume incurs Senate's wrath. Sacked as chief whip, Mungono steps in. He's free to join PDP or any opposition APC and group backs and battled lawmaker. Building collapse. Lagos, 3 others lead as Nigeria records 418 deaths. It's on page 21. Now, Yusuf returns Gaya Emir, appoints 2 others, second-class monarchs. It's on page 20. Flood, petrol shortage, others to fuel inflation. July, Iwani. Zamfara recruits 2,000 teachers to enhance science and technical education. Nigeria invested over $2 billion in renewable energy. It's on the front page there. Now he wants mining licenses tied to local value addition. And Didi Esther Watson-Jack replaces Yemi Esson as head of civil service. The picture is there. And of course, Tinubu's 6.2 trillion budget increase receives NAS approval. And we hear some people battling for Super Eagles plum job, Shell and Saint Fiat. I hope. All right.
Just say it confidently like you know it. Yeah, let's quickly go to the leadership newspaper and some of the stories. Claire has already read them, and let me go quickly to the ones that have not been read. PDP governors declare minimum wage delay, with riders welcome Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Suggest political solutions to Rivers crisis, and court bars PDP from conducting congresses in Rivers State. You find all the details on page 4. UAE embassy mum as uncertainty trails visa fee hike. Details on page 23. Northern Varsities more proactive in loan scheme. That's coming from NEL Fund. You find that on page 8. Kano government revokes land allotted by Ganduje. Details on page 17. NACON chairman explains 90 billion naira subsidy for 2024 Hajj. You find the details on page 7. And the picture story you see there is those who attended the launch of the student loan fund by President Bola Tinubu yesterday. You can see the SGF, Mr. George Akume, board chairman, Nigeria Education Loan Fund, Minister of Education, Professor Mohamed Taher, Finance, Wale Edun, Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, and Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, with other attendees at the presidential villa. And Mongono replaces Dume as Senate Majority Whip. Find the details on page 6. That's about what we have in the leadership newspaper this morning. Mr. Chukwudi.
Yeah, Jumai, PDP governors decrying delay in approving a minimum wage across the nation. That sounds so good, but they quickly warn that whatever you approve must be something that can be paid.
Must be a working wage.
So you can see that there's a little politics in it. You know, we want it to happen now. Why are you keeping it? But please, whatever you approve, make sure it is something we can afford to pay. It's okay. Good talk still. Dialogue should finish it, as I always say here.
Chooks, let's quickly look at the 32 billion naira.
We'll get there.
Yes, I think that's the lead story.
Yeah, they welcome the Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. That again is very important, even though you would say, what choice did they have? Then suggest political solutions to Rivers crisis. The Rivers people will eventually settle their matter. I said that long ago. Now the money you're talking about?
Yes, the student's loan. Because,
the student's loan.
Yes, it's a major story.
It is not a palliative. It is almost a lifesaver. And it tells us that we are beginning to reaccord education the attention it deserves. Education, agriculture, don't joke with those.
Don't joke with it.
Security, of course, is part of it. But agriculture and education, I keep on stressing, are areas we must not lose, you know, focus on. So it is a highly commendable thing. And I'm also happy that somebody's noting that northern varsities are more proactive in terms of handling this.
Yes.
So efficiency is being, you know, lauded somewhere.
Yeah.
The people who seem to be lagging should take, you know, note of what has been said. And please hurry to bring succor into the lives of these students. And NANS, of course, is very happy about it.
But they should also know that this is a loan and must be paid back. The students.
Yes.
It's not just taking the money and go with. You will pay back the money. Just
Jumai,
like it's done in other climes. Because even when Obama was president, he was still paying his student loan at that stage.
Jumai, have you never taken a loan? Did you show more energy in terms of repayment than getting it first? I think they will handle that when it comes. The most important thing is to, you know, phase it in a way that they can handle. That is, arrange it in a way that they can handle. If it's bulk and all that, I don't think it is. It will become difficult for some students to return and all that. So the repayment pattern is as important as the loan that is given itself, so that there won't be many cases of default.
Yes.
I think there's a penalty for default. Yes.
So that they will not japa with the money, because there was stories trending that people were still working in government japat and were still being paid salaries.
Though some people would attempt to japa with it. Whether you like it or not, crime is inevitable. You're only trying to reduce it to the barest minimum. So let them make sure that the loopholes, as many of them as possible, are plugged, because this is money that should be actually something that gets to other people if a good repayment is assured. You understand? I think it's very important that this gets done. Yes. Then there's this one about Mongunu replacing Ndume as Senate Majority Whip. And Senator Ndume has actually been known to be not a gadfly, not a gadfly, but he's somewhat a maverick. He's always been that way, you know. It's not just this administration.
Even before he joined
politics, has to be fair to him.
Even as a lecturer, he has always been
that way.
What
we need to, it is important to note he has always been like that. I attended a seminar and I said, look, I'm one of the most hardworking people in one organization where I work and all that. And still, I don't think I'm one of those who are particularly favored in terms of the person who was talking to us from the US said, do they see absolute loyalty in your attitude? You get the message?
Yes, I get
so
the
message. If the APC and the government do not see absolute loyalty from him, there's going to be a little, that's how it works in administration.
Yeah, indeed.
But let us make sure we're not stifling, you know, dissenting voices that could actually help us sometimes to correct certain things.
Indeed, and
Very
we have
important.
another woman at the head of the civil service.
Yes.
Cindy Wilson Jack, congratulations to her, and I'm glad it's a succession of women in the civil service. That's why I say the civil service is so stable, you know. Because we know
what
we're
a man
naturals.
can do, a woman can do better.
Yes,
very
we're
good.
Naturals, so the civil
Anytime
service,
something happens positively to the Nigerian woman, as I congratulate the person, I also congratulate Claire and my sister.
Forget my name.
No, not Jume now. Jume is just joining you guys in this activism, you know. But the
so you
did Ray. But the
Not
truth
Ray.
is that it's God Day. I got it. When she told me how to pronounce her name, I placed God Day there. It reminds me, it's Ray. Okay?
Ray.
Imagine. So, let us be serious about this matter because it's a serious matter.
It is.
Women are not being fairly treated on the African continent. So anytime anything like this happens, we must applaud it. Is it politics you're going to talk about? Where you expect one married woman in Africa that is super culture conscious to attend 3 a.m. meetings with politicians and all that, she's left holding the short end of the stick.
Yes.
So when anything good like this happens, we must always applaud it. But we can do more.
Let's look at another story. The resignation of 401 council caretaker committee members in Osun. And
is it in connection with the Supreme Court?
Well, it has to be.
It's caretaker.
Yes, it's caretaker. Yes.
But they are not getting act. They will not get access to the
if they are not properly elected into office, for crying out loud, they should not expect any operating funds.
Most of them will be contesting, I'm sure, for the local government elections.
I'm telling you, and let me just say, the resignation letter titled "Resignation from Position of Chairman, Caretaker Committee, Udio, Tin Local Government Area," and it reads, "I hope this letter finds you well. It is with a sense of duty and respect for our democratic principles that I write to tender my resignation from my position as chairman for the caretaker committee of this local government. As I move on to pursue further opportunities to serve my people, I want to assure you that the good work we have started will not end."
The others who have not done that had better take a cue from them, because very soon pressmen will start kicking up different words to, blah, 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 kicked out of office.
Exactly.
We know how to deliver those punches.
Yes.
So let them count their teeth with their tongues.
Yes, and today we hope, since the president is meeting with the labor unions today, we hope something good comes out of it.
Let them keep jaw.
Will not be dragged further.
Yes. No, there's quiet in the camp of labor.
Yeah.
So I think something gladdening is beginning to happen. But at the end of the day, one would always advise, let them meet each other halfway.
Let them gladden our hearts.
I know.
Over the weekend so that we can have.
Juma is spending times 3 of what she earns now.
Exactly.
You know why we are applauding the caretaker committee chairman for resigning. In Edo State, Edo Council chair impeached over 1.7 billion naira budget padding.
Well,
the cat is credited with having maybe more than 9 lives. Corruption in Nigeria. Please, we have not judged this case.
No.
When you have not put anything in court,
of course, but it's
you don't go talking anyhow. We are good journalists.
Yes.
Yes,
but this is.
We have to let Chukudi go.
Okay. Chicks the boy.
You have to. She didn't say you have to shut Chukudi up.
No, she
but
said
I got the
we
message.
have to let you go. So I let you go. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday.
Bye-bye, ladies.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Bye, Mom. He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Raining season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
I'm your game master. So right about now, let's have Bukumi and let's have Ozzy. like a big dash. As correct alert. House. A big car. Mention a condition you might give someone in order to forgive them.
Shower me with gift.
Apology.
Sure, take me out.
Name a great snack to have while watching a movie.
Hot dog.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and God has kept together as one indivisible entity.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
Good morning, Nigeria. And to begin our conversation, which is on release of rice to states, which is our first topic today, there's a background report put together by our correspondent Joseph Osen.
Inflation is steadily increasing, hitting all-time high at above 34%, and food prices are skyrocketing. Drastic measures are needed as many struggle to feed. The federal government is also concerned and has made moves to dodge the food crisis and the economic burden of Nigerians. Apart from initiative to support farmers' produce and opening of the nation's borders for food import, the government is purchasing surplus of food commodities to restock the national strategic food reserves and distribute to states. After the Federal Executive Council meeting a few days ago, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, briefed newsmen saying government has dispatched 20 trucks of rice to each of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to distribute to the most vulnerable persons.
And government is not saying that by this supply it is solving all the food challenges or the food problems that we have around the country. This is a necessary first step, and government will continue in that direction. Government will continue to do whatever it takes to ensure that Nigerians have enough food to eat. Of course, you also know some of the interventions that the federal government has done in the agricultural sector, boosting our own capacity to produce food, not just for our domestic consumption, but also possibly for export. And government will continue to do that.
This is not the first time the current administration will be supporting states with food items. Many states, including the FCT, had in the past assessed the gesture.
I want to commend the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for coming to our aid at this very important time.
However, the success of the food distribution is heavily reliant on the effective distribution by the subnationals. The expectation is that flooding the state with food will pressure prices to drop and energize many to be more productive. And will it really bring down the prices of food items? Will the state ensure adequate distribution to the most vulnerable and prevent diversion or even export by mischievous persons? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria who analyzed the full intervention of the federal government and its impact on cushioning hardship of Nigerians.
All right, that was a background report by Joseph Otseng, bringing us to the point of our conversation. And we have right here in the studio Professor Isaac Obasi of the Department of Public Administration, University of Abuja. It's been a long time we have you on our program. Good morning.
Thank you.
And we're glad to see you too.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. And we also have joining us from our Maiduguri studio in Borno State, Dr. Barkindo Muhammad Saidu, Director General, State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and Secretary, State Palliative Distribution Committee. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Saidu.
Thank you. You're welcome and good morning.
And also joining us via Zoom from Lagos is Honorable Ruth Bisola Olusanya. She is the Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos State. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
Good morning.
All right, so it's good to have everyone on this program, and I see Dr. Saidu is combat ready, and I hope that's a reflection of the importance that we're attaching to our conversation and, of course, the program, the palliative distribution. Let's begin, because what we have in our public domain is that states have received their supplies. But let me start with Lagos State. Can you confirm to us that Lagos State, that's Honorable Bisola Olusanya, you now have the supply of your own portion of the rice palliative? Do you have your supplies now?
So the thing is this, supplies are, so it depends on the timing. We had received some palliatives from the federal government a few months back, as far back as I believe April, May. We received truckloads of rice, which we distributed along with our own Jericho palliatives for the month of July. And expecting another consignment, which we heard, as I believe everybody heard, is a 20 truckloads of rice, which we have not received yet. But the previous truckloads of rice that we had received, over 42,000 bags of 25 kilo rice, we had distributed along with our own Jericho palliatives, 1,000 bags of 25 kilo rice to every CDC, CDA. We have 57 LCDAs, local governments in Lagos. So you can imagine that we needed a minimum of 57. So including what the federal government gave us, plus what we had as a state, we shared across board to all of the local governments and LCDs through the CDC, CDA structure.
I think what we're looking at is the recent gesture by the federal government, the 20 truckload of rice meant as palliatives for 36 states and the FCT.
Yes.
That's the one we are referring to, and you have just said that you have not received your supply. You have not received your supply yet.
No, please.
Okay, let's quickly reach out to Maiduguri, where Dr. Barkindo Muhammad Saidu is the Director General, State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and also the Secretary, State Palliative Distribution. This is another set of palliatives for Borno State, and we know that Borno has been distributing palliatives because, of its peculiar case here. And have you gotten your supply already? And how is the distribution going to be like? Because I'm sure Borno State has a social register where most of the vulnerable people out there. And of course, the IDP camp is reducing as people relocate back to their ancestral homes. So how is the distribution going to be like? And do you have the 20 trucks available in Maiduguri now?
Actually, the distribution is not a problem to us because this is not the first time. We already have an established template that we consider doing for the distribution. Usually we consider some categories of population, that is the most vulnerable population among them. We consider women head of household, that is sometimes the widows. Also, we consider the aged people and people with serious illness. And at the same time, we consider people with disability. These are the first line of population that we consider in our distribution. In all of the distribution, never a time that since we have a design model, none of the beneficiaries, targeted beneficiaries usually didn't get. We always try to see that we have it in surplus based on our planning and also based on our targeting. So actually our distribution in Borno State is not a problem and it's not a new thing. We already have an established structure on the palliative distribution.
Do you have your allocated 20 trucks of rice right now in Maiduguri?
Yeah, we are yet to receive it actually, but we have gotten information that it is on its way coming. That is why we have started pre-positioning ourselves for the instant and immediate distribution to the beneficiaries without any delay, based on the directives of His Excellency the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum.
All right, thank you. We'll still remain. We have a guest here in the studio, but let's establish, the baselines, and we'll go back again to Lagos. Borno, again, like Dr. Saidu said, has an established template, for distribution of palliatives. I mean, we know, and the model is such that they are classified into 3 groups. Those still in IDP camps, although like Jumaine said, people, a lot of the IDP populations are moving back, are being resettled. So they also have the IDPs that have been resettled, and then they have the indigent that are in the metropolis or towns, and then they have other groups. So Borno has a well-established template for distribution. But what is the model that Lagos has been using? Are you going to rely, when you do have your supplies, are you relying on that model, or are you going to, again, wait for government to generate a new template for distribution?
Very much. I believe Lagos has been a pioneer when it comes to food welfare distribution for its citizenry. Going far back as COVID-19 period, we were the first pioneer state to emerge in food distribution, and I believe that as a result of that, even several bodies, including the World Food Programme, had tried to utilize our model of distribution. The demography of Lagos is very different from that of Borno, so to each his own. With regards to Lagos State, we have the social register domiciled with the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. That register has a database of over 2.8 million Lagos residents. But apart from this register, we also have LASRA, which is the Lagos State Residency Registration Agency that captures as much as possible Lagosians living in Lagos. Aside that, we have the CDC CDA structure, 57 CDECs, and then over 4,000 CDAs through the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Through this structure as well, we have the list of the vulnerable population. And then we also rely on NGOs and civil society organizations, particularly working with our Ministry of Youth and Social Development. So when you consider and amalgamate all of these registries, you're able to come up with a substantive quantity or number of names of people across the various local governments in Lagos that are vulnerable. We also rely on our traditional bodies to help to understand and to ensure that we are targeting the right people, as well as through our religious organizations. So with all of these, we have a concise list of names where when we have to when we have to commence distribution, we're able to do it effectively. Is it 100% foolproof? I don't believe any part of the world you'll be able to do 100% foolproof distribution, considering the fact that regardless in our system, data can be a bit of an issue in terms of ensuring that it is accurate. But to a large degree, and because we also have monitoring committees, we have the palliative advisory council as well, set up by Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. It ensures that we have several layers of monitoring and compliance to ensure that the foods go into the right homes. We have done this over and over again, and I believe that we keep fine-tuning and getting better at it. And I believe that whatever it is that we receive from the federal government also at this point in time will be well distributed.
I like the fact that, of course, you pointed out that the demography of Lagos is quite different from Borno, and quite so. But even there, Borno, already has a seamless, model.
Even before COVID.
Yes, even before COVID, and guidelines. But Professor Bassey, if you look at the two models, I mean, Lagos has well-established structure, using the social register, using the LASTRA, the CACD, I hope I got that correct, NGOs and all that. Do you think that these guidelines will give us a clear, I mean, do they present as clear criteria for, distribution? From your experience, I mean, you are familiar with the social register.
Yes. Yeah. My first reaction is what I noted that when she was talking is the multiplicity of structures of distribution, that Lagos model. And if you have a very effective, reliable, and functional, sustainable model of distribution that is fair, you don't need up to 5 things she mentioned. I think the most effective for me is the CDA, Community Development Association. It's right there at that street, right there where people belong to, and that's where you can really capture people. The point that she can make is that, oh no, that one is mainly for those in the rural area, but you still find them like places in which you do community associations and the rest of them. So if you have effective model of just one structure that is effective, you don't have a clash of this structure. This
I thought so myself.
Yes, so many of them,
it's what they get, the word we use, omnibus again, because omnibus, and we have sometimes clash and the territorial, competition for, your mandate and whatever. So we don't need that. The Borno own, yes.
But it's been working for them.
No, we were doing the monitoring. Did tell us that the monitoring report, we don't have it. She is the one not to tell us that it's working. It's those who do monitoring and evaluation report that will make us to know from what she has said. I'm impressed by the fact that they have things on ground about distribution. There's no doubt about it. They are thinking. And so you can't fault them. But I've just said that you don't need those multiplicity of structures. Framework of distribution should be clear and reliable. If you're using a registrar, that registrar should even cover it all. You don't need anything. If registrar is digital or manual, definitely it should. What is important in this distribution is that the person who gets now or who got before, like April and May, is not the one again who is going to get now. That's the essence of the registrar.
Yes, prioritizing. Exactly. We're going to prioritize beneficiaries.
Exactly. Yes, so that justice will be seen to have been, followed. So, Lagos. Maiduguri, I don't have problem. They always lead in terms of the way it is distributed.
Yes.
But, yes. But it can also be, for the optics. I don't know. Monitoring evaluation, we don't have the report. I have the thing is reaching the people. But watching from what we see reported, they're ahead of the distribution. In fact, there's one state that said in the last palliative distribution that if not for Professor Zulum, they would not have known in their state that government has even given them something.
Yes.
I mean, you know that. So we can give it to him that level of transparency is there. How it works, how those who get it complain or not, I don't have statistics and I cannot pronounce, that. But most important thing is to have an effective and reliable, sometimes sustainable distribution framework. But this.
But do you think they should maintain a particular model, given that, sometimes, like you said, those who receive in previous months, should they also, because if you follow, let's say, the social register, it's the same list of people.
It's the same list of people. Like I said, the Borno State, situation is peculiar because a lot of vulnerable people are out there looking for food. And I'm bringing in Dr. Barkindo Seidu now into the conversation. You've gotten a commendation now from Dr. Bassey. Maiduguri, Borno State is actually doing well. Yobe State is doing well. And this is a deliberate effort by government to cushion the difficult economic times, being experienced by Nigerians, especially Maiduguri with the multi-layer insurgency, climate change, affecting everything around that state. Is it just rice you're getting? Is there other staple foods that would, follow the rice trucks coming to Maiduguri?
It's not only cereals, but we consider almost all the commodities that are required of a foodstuff in a household. And the distribution, as Professor mentioned, it is not always we target particular population based on our peculiarities, as we said. We always try to see, before naturally what made us to even successful is the full participation of His Excellency, the Executive Governor himself. Wherever we are going, he goes himself there and makes sure that there is no any gap. Once we identify the gap, he will make an instant and immediate response to see that we fill in the gap before we leave that community. And secondly, there is another strategy. Since, as you said earlier, that Borno State is different from Lagos State and is different from other cities in the country. In Borno State, the land is vast, the local governments are a little bit far apart. So wherever we are going, whenever we are going, most of the times, trying to target the most vulnerable and targeted population, His Excellency will go as an advance party, go to that location, and we don't announce the time that we are identifying the beneficiaries. Sometimes we identify them as early hours as 1 o'clock in the night or 2 o'clock in the night. When we target them, we try to give them the token, we give them the ticket, whatever. Thereafter, then the trucks of the food will come, then they come and redeem it. And it is very, very surprising, honestly, never a time that we distribute any food to any community we are with even a minute complaint. I can beat up my chest, and we can beat our chest in Borno State that nobody is ever left behind. Any community that we target. So these are the kind of approach or strategies that made us to be successful. We are always, even in any community, we always consider the most vulnerable population. So basically what we can say is that it's not only cereals that we distribute, because in the state, most of the population were affected by this insurgency. The effect is on their nutritious status, the effect is on their health status, the effect is in their social status, the effect is on their moral status. So normally, whenever His Excellency goes to any location, he tries to see that he gives them what can make the food, and also he tries to see that he gives them what it can make it to the soup. That is the condiments, the salts, the vegetable oil, the cereals itself, then the protein, that is beans, etc., etc. These are the packages making the basket of each household to be given.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bakindo. Thank you. Again, let me bring in Honorable Ruth Bisola Olusonya. In terms of equity, how do you define who should benefit from the palliatives from the multiplicity of registers that you have?
The notion that I have a multiplicity of register, that needs to be cleared first. The initial question that was asked was in terms of the model and in terms of database. LASTRA is an agency that in Lagos. So through the CDC, CDA structure, we do a verification to ensure that these people indeed live in Lagos. So it's not that there's a duplicity or multiplicity of registers. It is that there are checks and balances to ensure that across the several names that I had mentioned, we are able to come up with a final list which encapsulates as many people as possible, cutting across different areas and from different demographics within the Lagos state as a whole. So what we have is to ensure that if the CDC gives us names through the LASTRA, through the social register, we make sure that we check just to ensure that, yes, these people indeed are here. What we also try to ensure is that we receive feedback. We give the opportunity for feedback from community members. And like as I said, we use volunteers as well, through the civil society organizations, to ensure that in terms of distribution, the distributions have been done effectively, and we can ensure that, yes, at the end of the day, the foods have gone to the right people. With regards to the selection, so we have different criteria and a listing of the criteria. So we'll mention those with special needs, those that are probably widowed, those that are underemployed, meaning that they have some form of employment, but it's not regular. We would have some student population as well. We would have people that are elderly, above 60, depending on the categorization according to location, and so on and so forth. So there is a criteria that we have as a state government, and with a reliance on the social register as well, with regards to based on the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, the categorization of someone who is considered a vulnerable citizen. Like I said, we also work with the World Food Programme, and as such, we've been able to come up with quite the description of the kind of person that we believe should be entitled to getting food in Lagos State.
Indeed, you know, you've really explained the multiplicity of your distribution chain, and it's good. Other states also have their own style of doing things, and you know, with the huge population in Lagos, I believe it is not an easy task to be able to do that. We'll now come back to the studio where Dr. Obasi, Professor Obasi, is seated. You know, there have been calls for states, federal government and local government. Now they have autonomy, they will have the cocoa to do what they want to do, you know, to come on board together to ensure that we have food security in this country. And I believe if all hands are on deck from bottom to top, it will be possible. Now, food security is one of the high points of the Tinubu administration. I said that no Nigerian should go to bed hungry, but there are other factors that will ensure food security. What are they? And, you know, insecurity is one factor that stops agriculture from growing or exploding in Nigeria with a huge arable land, you know, everywhere, but insecurity will not allow us to do it. Will the distribution continue?
Thank you. I think a gap we've left before we answer this is the substantive issue of this discussion. Assuming we have the most perfect, efficient and effective means of distribution that is fair, what is distributed is an issue.
Yes, we'll talk about quantity.
Yes, but before I come to that,
yes.
When we have talked about that, we can go to how are we going to now make sure that this does not become, you know, usual every time.
Every time,
waiting for that, you know.
What is being distributed is it's like 20
trucks and that's 24,000 bags of rice. With a population like Lagos.
In the last distribution, some states claimed, some residents in some states claimed they got as much as
a mudu for a ward.
Yes, 1.5 pints of plastic.
For an area.
Yes, for an area, and we had lots of complaints from different states. So, I mean, this is again another 25 kg. How far
can you go?
Yes.
Let me first, before I now make comment that looks like criticism, say thank you. Government is a good intention. So like Professor Zulu mentioned, that thanking the federal government is good intention. Like my supervisor said many years ago, gratitude is the least of all the virtues. Gratitude. Ingratitude is the worst of all the vices. So operating from that, I appreciate that what they have done is good. But from what I call, you know, panic measure theory, panic measure, I see that it doesn't go far. And that's a question as to how far can it go. When a problem is deep-rooted, and that's the point Jumai was making about food security, insecurity here. So when a problem is deep-rooted, if you follow the panic measure approach model, it doesn't help much. Some people see it as a drop in an ocean. Others see it, and some claim that if you distribute those 20 trucks, it's one grain for each Nigerian. You know, these are pointing to the fact that it's grossly inadequate. And you know, when you have a situation like this, like we had in the past last year, you know, confusion. The thing ends up in hijacked. ends up in wrong hands. Ends up
we
in
can't
warehouses.
We can't do that politics in distribution.
Warehouses where let us wait till the thing comes. But before then, either flood, it happened last time, flood messed up the thing, or Iraq crowd, those who are hungry and went and opened the place and scattered them and the rest of them. Confusion, some stampede, people died. We want to save life by giving them food, but we end up losing life. So there are a whole lot of things that come out of when you send something that is grossly inadequate. Good intention, but it's grossly inadequate. And that's why the method of distribution is key. So that somebody who got last time, all of us are hungry. Lagos is saying most vulnerable. Middle class is gone.
Yes.
Middle class. A band alone will take your salary. Oh,
exactly.
Yes.
Fuel.
Oh, sure. Fuel. So middle class is gone. So you find out that those who think are not vulnerable already have been pauperized, and they gradually enter into the vulnerable group. But that's another issue. So if we are trying to, address this, we buy more. We buy more. Because if you look into the history of what happened last year, when the one was given, I remember we were here talking about the thing. People complained that, in fact, by the time the thing reached their ward, it was a mudu. The container, the paint.
But Professor Bassey, that's why it's called palliatives.
Yeah, but the quantity should increase.
It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to solve the main problem.
I agree with you.
Yes. So let's not forget that.
Should increase.
Yes. Let's not forget that. Let's look at how what has been given, can be done equitably and transparently, such that those who are supposed to benefit, from it, really get the palliative, and that's basically what we really want to look at. Okay. The larger solutions to inflation, the macro and micro solutions to inflation, are being handled. But let's look at this one, because that is what people. Some time ago, a lot of people complained that they didn't even know that government, had given such a palliative. The state's governments, didn't make it public. So these are some of the issues that we would like, our respondents from Lagos and Maiduguri, two good states, that have clear, established template for distribution.
You're right. You're on point. I am saying that point you are making. If you carry what is given, that you want to make it equitably, and we say it ends up being a little bit small, it doesn't go. That's why I'm calling for increase in quantity. It's palliative. Palliative should use, if you have mapped out that, this local government, you get this time, 2 local government gets, you get it. Another time. Excellent.
That's what I'm.
Exactly.
Good.
So you begin to make sure that through that rotation, rotation
system
is fair. Justice is served. So it goes round. So whether you are using those registrars in those areas, definitely you see those people you want to give it in those areas. So that framework.
So rather than have a household, rather than having a household of 6 persons sharing one mudu, why don't you say one household take the 25 kg bag, so that next time this household you do not benefit. I don't know what Dr. Bakindo.
Yes, I'll bring him in. Dr. Bakindo, in Maiduguri usually we see that it's bags of rice with oil, with Maggi and everything. That's what we see in Maiduguri being dished out to the most vulnerable in Maiduguri. But now that you have a system from bottom to top that is working, you have a local government election that has taken place already. Local government chairmen are already on seat, and we know that Borno produces rice like in Zabamari area. So what support would the state government be providing to local rice farmers and processors to increase domestic production and reduce reliance on the federal government all the time to come save the states? I'm not saying actually that Borno State is being saved, because we've been doing a lot with NGOs and all that for quite a while. So how would we increase production in areas like Maiduguri?
Let me start with the last question before coming back going back to the first question. Actually, in Borno State, we have never given people, we have never matched people, beneficiaries in a ration. Everybody gets his own ration, just as Prof said. We normally give them something that can take them for some days to enable them to revamp and start up their livelihood activities. Regarding the production of rice, it's not only rice. His Excellency Professor Babagana Omar Zulum has procured an irrigation equipments that were distributed across all the senatorial districts, particularly the Borno Central and the Northern Borno, where the rainy season is very, very lean, that is very minimal. So, we have already started encouraging even the IDPs to see that in their house, inside their house or inside their tent, they have their small garden, to see that they have complemented what they cook for the day. So, Borno State government is trying to see that we have started producing rice, wheat, and other cereals, not only to suffice Borno State, but also to start thinking of taking it to other locations. For that, we don't have any doubt, and that for that we have already gone far on that intention or on that activity.
All right, Dr. Saidu, thank you. We'll put a hold on you and go back to Lagos. Honorable Ruth Bisola Lusanya, I mean, we've had, this is not the first time we are, having to distribute palliatives, I mean, since COVID. But for Borno and some states in the northeast and northwest. Other states in different parts of the country, started that during COVID. And we had lots of complaints. The most important complaint, or the most concerning issue, was the issue of quantity. And I'm wondering how you intend to distribute a 25 kg bag of rice. Let's say per a household of 6, do you ration that 25 kg, or do you say a household of 6 persons take a 25 kg bag and then you go on to distribute the rest in that format? I'm wondering what model you're using to do that.
So for Lagos State, many a time we do a rebagging. So if we receive, let's say, 25 kg, in some instances we could split that into 2.5. So you can just have 2 bags of 25 kg, 50 kg, have a 10 kg rebagging done, such that for each household, you can give them a 10 kilo bag of rice. But for Lagos, we don't also just give one food staple item. It will be a minimum of 3. It will be rice, beans, gari. In some instances, we have also distributed tomato paste. We've distributed salt alongside, as well as bread. So for us, we make it a combo package. And aside this distribution of staple food items, we also work with FMCGs, fast-moving consumer good companies. For instance, let's say flour mills, where we also put together a food combo box that has a multiplicity of different products that are also consumed in the home and particularly loved by children. So we have different types of packages for the home. And as such, we try to ensure as much as possible that for one family, they have something substantive of 2 frequency of consumption of those particular food items.
Okay, so how long do you think that should last for a household of, I don't know, how you grade them. Some say household of 4, others say household of 6.
So we would look at roughly, let's say, a household of 5, 4. I mean, Lagos is more metropolitan. So on the average, you would have the family size would be smaller than maybe most parts of the country. So we usually would stick to a family of 5. And like I said, depending on the frequency of consumption of those particular of 2 weeks, the food items should be lasting for the family.
I'm still going to stay with you briefly. People say it's not just about receiving the palliatives from government. How will you ensure the quality and safety of the rice for consumption, and what standards have been set so far?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. The line was breaking.
I was thinking, how will you as a government determine the quality of the rice for consumption? And what are the standards you're setting to sort of check that the rice is consumable?
Okay, so rice usually has an assumption would be that on every bag there's an expiry date on the rice. On average, from time of packaging production up to expiry would take an average of, let's say, 3 years. Majority of what, at least all that we receive and what we also as a state produce, it is long lasting enough. So staple foods do not have a low shelf life, or in terms of the timing from production to expiry. So the shelf life is usually very long, and as such, we stick to this particular food staple items. When it comes to Gari as well, in terms of quality, obviously, as we receive items into our storehouses, we also do a FIFO arrangement of what comes in first must go out as quickly as possible. So as such, our team definitely goes through this. We also work very closely with our State House of Assembly. They have oversight function, and as such, you see the committee, particularly on agriculture, coming to do checks to ensure that what is being procured is good enough as well for people to consume. We also have Food Safety Commission in Lagos State Government. They also come to ascertain that what is being packaged for the people is good enough. And as such, you have different bodies doing different things to ensure that what we are giving to the people is good enough. Ministry of Environment will come around as well to ensure that in terms of the location where packaging is being done, it is hygienic enough. And as Ministry of Agriculture, with being in charge of food, it is just imperative, and it is just logical that would also ensure that our people, they wear the kits, just to ensure that even the food that is being packaged is being done under hygienic conditions. So we take great measures to ensure that what is being distributed to people is of good quality, because we also do not want a situation where what we are giving out becomes something that becomes a health issue across board for many.
All right, thank you, Honorable Bisola. We'll keep you on hold for a moment. We'll return to you probably to find out more on what you're doing, as a long-term measure for food security as Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos. Please just take a deep breather. We'll get back to you presently, and let's get back to the studio. And I want to ask Professor Obasi. And my question will border on transparency of distribution. Sometimes people don't get to know. The people who should benefit don't get to know, what is happening. You discover that these things are, shrouded in secrecy and all that. What should be done to ensure that the communities, the people are carried along and they are aware, of the distribution plans?
Good question, Claire. They are aware of what you are going to distribute if that quantity will go around. So those in government, if they know the thing will not go around, as much as possible, I know they try to manage information about how they expose everything before you have a stampede again. Mm-hmm. I think what will happen is that usually, like most of these states, they've established a template, mm-hmm. whether it is perfectly working or not, at least they have. You hear some states will tell you, oh, we are going through religious bodies, trade union, organized labor,
even
market women,
mm-hmm.
They mention all these things. But we begin to wonder whether there is indeed a good man, a theory kind of belief that those who will share, those who are calling religious, some of them are dubious, what do you call it, defrauding the people that are supposed to protect their interests. So it's a problem, in terms of accountability. I would like to see a kind of monitoring and evaluation in Lagos, because they seem to promise what they say is what, if in theory you will know that they are really established. You look at the Bronu own too. If you look at what they say they are doing, it's something you can establish whether it is true or not. If a governor goes in advance when the palliative is to be distributed in the community, goes in advance to make sure that things are, I mean, fine. What can be better than that? So, but if we have a monitoring and evaluation independent, and this is why some of these donor agencies, they spend money on a monitoring and evaluation is key. Because that's the only thing that can promote the accountability we are talking about. Left to good man theory. Many people are not good men when they are subjected to this kind of stress the system, gives them.
Yes.
Except those who are clearly committed to their conscience and God. When other people are pushed into doing what they're supposed not to do. If a good man gets into politics, if he wants to be good, he's what I'm telling you, now you won't carry Nigeria for head. Your wife
now that most of the states, at least from what Lagos and Borno, are telling us, the supplies may not have gotten, to the states. So isn't this the right plan to engage the people in probably conversations, town hall, and say, look, we are expecting so and so quantity of rice from the federal government as palliatives. What are the concerns in terms of distributions? And when you get to hear from them, then you build, those concerns into your plan. Isn't it the right time to do that?
Good idea, but you create more confusion. The best thing is to do the planning first before they come. Like if you have a standing model or template of distribution, keep to it. And when it comes, make sure that, for instance, like we keep saying, areas I've gotten before are not the ones you go back to them again. You go to another place. If people know that this is what you are doing, they will not bother so much to complain.
Well, it's not only here that we have palliatives. In other climes, you see them having a food bank where the vulnerable people go, just queue up, and they are given assorted food items.
But it's sustainable.
It's sustainable. So why can't we have something like that?
I don't want to blame everything on corruption, but let me assure you. This is government word. I don't want to use it. But I assure you. Let me point out that apart from China, India, Brazil, and Nigeria is populous. Remove US in this mentioning. Nigeria is populous, and it creates a lot of problems for us, and a lot of underproductive part of the population that exists. They're doing nothing, and they are healthy in quote, and active, and they're not doing anything. They don't earn anything. So when this kind of thing comes, and you are making these points, confusion will come. Some countries are, I say they are luckier, but some countries are also high in population are doing well. Yes, system works. So, and that's why I didn't want to blame everything on corruption, but we come back now to sincerity of purpose. Where corruption is endemic and is on every fabric of that distribution chain or whatever you want to do, nothing will work. Nothing will work.
And as you rightly said, the easing of the middle class.
Yes.
Into the vulnerable group is also swelling, or complicating matters.
And are the ones who's going to distribute.
Yes.
In power.
So the whole scenario is very alarming. Yes. And I don't know, Borno, now that you have most of your IDPs decentralized, dismantled, and a lot of people back, resettled in their various, homes and all that. How are you still going to maintain the same strategy? Are you still going to be distributing the same quantity, or are you going to, scale it up? Scale what is received, with this new palliative that is on its way to you.
Scaling up, it has been the culture right from the very first time that the federal government started assisting the state government or assisting all the states across the country. Borno State Governor himself, anytime that we get assistance from the state federal government, he used to complement it, procure more so that everybody will get it. That is why most of the times you don't have any complaint. And also let me go back a little bit back. It is not surprising to hear from a professor, but actually it is very, very appreciating to hear from him that just as he was in Borno State, all what he described and the method and the formalities are exactly, and that is why we try to see that we overcome it. So actually, it's exactly what he's explained that that is happening in Borno State. So still coming back to how for the scaling up, yes, never a time that maybe federal government assists palliatives with condiments, with other commodities. But in Borno State, all our distribution comprise this in the basket. Targeting the population, we keep on moving from one location to another location, and also we are targeting even the season. Just about a month ago, our last distribution was done in Kalabalge. Kalabalge is a water lodge area where once the rainy season has commenced, nobody can access that place. That is why we took sufficient quantity of food items to run for them. That is the capital of Kalabalge, we took it to them. So for the sufficiency, the state government always complement what the federal government gives the state to see that everybody gets it. And at least will revamp them to enable them to catch up with their livelihood activities, since we said it is a palliative. Palliative normally is not a drug, but actually is to relieve your condition to enable you to pick up and start what you are what you are expected to do.
Yes, Dr. Barkindo, you know, Borno State is at times we take a step forward and then we take 2 steps backward, just like what happened in Goza recently. And, you know, you're getting more issues, more responsibility for vulnerable people in Borno State. Do you think that what you're getting is enough to cover the most vulnerable in the state across the local governments? We have 27 local governments, I believe.
Earlier, up till now, we have never had any complaint or grievances from any quarter or from any sector. All the locations that we go, we normally distribute successfully and go without leaving a single household without getting. That one, we are very, very much sure of it. So, and this is what we continue on. Regarding for the Goza, I am an indigenous of Goza. Fortunately, that incident happened when I was in Goza. There was never a time that we had a suicide bomber in Goza. This is a new thing. And actually, we believe it is a progress from our gallant military that they have succeeded in confining all the insurgents into one location. That is why maybe they try to show that they are still alive or they are still active. But that one did not deter them. And another thing that I want to seize opportunity to inform our listeners, despite the fact that it's not in the context, is that the very day when the bomb blasted, the following day, people gathered, went to the military location and said that they are there to show their solidarity to the military and they want to go to their farms that very day until military appealed to them that they should go back to see that at least they have done all the security clearance. So for what had happened in Goza has not deterred people of Goza, has not drawn them back. It has even revamped their hope to see that at least things will move forward.
All right, Dr. Saidu, thank you. I said you were in the combat ready this morning, and indeed you are combat ready for us and for the distribution. But let's bring in again Honorable Bisola Olusanya into our conversation. Honorable Olusanya, you know, the First Lady of the Federal Republic has an initiative, Every Home a Garden, which, you know, she intends to use to encourage every woman to, you know, grow a garden in her backyard to, you know, as kind of a measure to secure our food. I'm wondering how, as Commissioner for Agriculture, how are you keying into this and ensuring that indigent women in Lagos also key into this kind of initiative?
So we run programs with many agencies. within the state, particularly the Lagos State Agricultural Development Authority, LSADA. Aside LSADA, we also work with programs pertaining to children, particularly those of the secondary schools. And the idea around this, obviously, is to promote urban farming. We partner also with IITA and obviously trying to ensure that in terms of what can be grown in the home, it is also done within an hygienic setting such that it does not affect people living close to one another. Lagos is highly urbanized, and as such, promoting urban agriculture, it has many faces to it. What we do in Lagos, particularly when you consider agriculture as a basket, there's a high focus on livestock and fisheries. Crop farming is also there, but obviously as a result of the size of Lagos in terms of its geography, we don't, crop farming is not done on such a commercial scale as you would have in other states in Lagos. So someone who wants to rear fish, for instance, at home, the intricacies of that will be slightly different than someone who is engaged in commercial farming. So we do regular training, capacity building, just to make sure that people do the right things, and as such, everything is done within the confines of keeping the entire area hygienic. The initiative of the First Lady is good, and obviously it is something that we promote ardently here in Lagos for people to grow what they eat as much as possible, particularly also vegetables. So this is an ongoing initiative that over the years, it's something we continue to advocate for it as a way out of food insecurity for Nigeria.
Okay, Honorable Ruth Bisola Olusanya, it's a good initiative the First Lady is doing, and at this point we're running out of time. We have to thank you for coming on the program and giving us an insight into how distribution of palliatives in Lagos is being done. She's the Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. And we also have to thank Dr. Barkindo Muhammad Saidu, Director General, State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and Secretary, State Palliative Distribution Committee. Like Claire said, you are combat ready to hit the field. We thank you so much. You can go out and do your thing. Well, thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Professor Obasi, we've run out of time.
Thank you.
But in 30 seconds, can you tell us, project food security in the next 4 years if all the templates that President Bola Tinubu has put on ground will be fully implemented? In 30
fight
seconds.
insecurity. Fight insecurity and fight insecurity. That's all.
Yeah.
Nigerians were going to the farm before this problem came up.
Yeah.
And I know we can rebound if only we can address the problem of insecurity. Many food basket areas of this country people have been sent out of their farms. There's no magic about that. It's insecurity that is making people not to be actively productive as they were. So insecurity is my priority, if I'm to say.
All right, Professor Bassi, thank you very much for coming to share your thoughts with us on
Thank
this.
you. It's a pleasure.
All right, our next topic will commence in just a moment.
The federal government of Nigeria wants vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Meet lovebirds Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town. Hey!
Mr. and Mrs. Jaye Davis! an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in. His mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
Married life suddenly becomes very complicated even before it started. Follow their story on this channel as they confront every challenge as it comes. Family forever, the story of our lives.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
In this conversation, we're exploring a vital aspect of Nigeria's economic transformation under the Tinubu administration, and this is the digital trade in Nigeria and renewed hope strategy.
Okay. Of course, and we situate this even as the world embraces the fourth industrial revolution. Nigeria is also poised to leverage digital technologies to drive growth, diversification, and innovation.
And the renewed hope strategy represents a bold vision for a digital economy that empowers citizens, stimulates entrepreneurship, and connects Nigeria to the global marketplace.
All right, let me welcome Dr. Salihu Dasuki, who will be speaking with us on this digital trade in the renewed hope strategy of Mr. President. And Dr. Dasuki is Special Assistant to the President on ICT Policy, Office of the Vice President. He's also a Senior Lecturer in Information Systems in Manchester Metropolitan University, and he has a PhD in Digital Development at, should I say it, at the age of 24 years. Of course, that makes him at the point,
a Gen Z.
You know, of course he's a
Gen Z.
No, are you a Gen Z? No, he's not a Gen Z. He's a millennial.
He's a millennial. You're 24 years now?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was then.
He was 24 years when he got his PhD.
His PhD.
Congratulations. It should be in order, and thank you for joining us. Quickly,
yes.
let's just dissect this digital trade. When I first said, I said, okay, and I'm sure that's what my colleagues in the studio will be thinking. Digital trade will mean, of course, using the digital platform to transact businesses. But give us a context.
Oh yeah, so in summary, just like it says, it's digital. So when you go digital, you move from online to the use of technologies, particularly information and communication technology. So now you're not just doing mortar and brick offline trade, but now you're now being supported with the powers of technologies and emerging technologies right now. And then the focus is not just trading, just goods alone, but we need to also look at services. So generally it's just when you exchange goods and services beyond cross borders, beyond states. So just the use of technology for buying and selling.
So what are these tools?
Yes.
What are these tools? So we have several tools now. With what we have now, obviously the most ubiquitous technology is mobile phone. Everyone has mobile phone, so a lot of people use it. WhatsApp, social media, your normal laptops, blockchain technologies, IoT. These are the tools. We call them digital tools right now. We've moved beyond just the conversation of just normal hard-end technologies to other soft technologies out there for trading.
Indeed, you know, the COVID-19 brought to the fore how digital, you know, trade should be done. You know, we lost a lot there because most Nigerians were not into digital trade, because even China, that was the epicenter of COVID-19 was able to make a lot of money from digital trade. So how are we going to harness, now that we know how important it is and how it can contribute to the economy, how do we begin to harness it?
Oh yeah, the conversation has already started, and that's why we have this program coming up tomorrow in the Office of the Vice President on digital trade. And also, if you look at the key focal area of the administration in line with the Renewed Hope agenda, one of the key areas is digital economy. And if you look at also page 97 of the Renewed Hope agenda, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government is focusing on digital transformation, and a key element of it is on digital trade. We believe right now you can't move a country without digitalization, and that's why there's a lot of effort in the government to ensure that Nigeria utilizes and harnesses this aspect of digital transformation. And that's why we're launching this program on digital trade within the African Free Continental Trade Area Agreement. And the AFCTA is an ambitious goal to integrate 55 African Union countries, where there's going to be a market size for almost 1.3 billion population and almost about $3.4 trillion market space. And for Nigeria to position itself and actually get that market share, one of the key areas in which we can actually trade with other African countries is through the power of digital technologies. And that's what the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is looking forward into. We're already doing it anyways, but we're going to do more. Yeah.
Today, our digital space
Yeah.
is fraught with so many, issues, concerns. You have scammers, you have fraudsters, you have. How do you hope to streamline all of this? Because adopting digital trade within the AFCTA, is big market.
Absolutely.
Yes. So for you to reap the real benefits, you must take care of all of these concerns and challenges, and to build confidence, public confidence in your digital tools.
Oh yeah, so currently work is in progress. We already have the Cybersecurity Act that's already in progress by NIDA. With regards to these challenges, several agencies, NIDA, Federal Ministry of Technologies, we have even the cybersecurity part of the police force. We have ICPC. So the good side of it is we're consolidating everybody right now. We believe we need to all come together to work together, and we're addressing those challenges. And despite these security challenges, you need to know that we quite have a very, very strong security infrastructure in Nigeria digitally. If you look at a lot of cyber attacks that have been happening in Africa, Nigeria seems to be at the minimum rate with regards to our security because of how strong our infrastructures. So I guess that's a conversation that's going to be taking place tomorrow. And again, we believe that we can't do it alone in government, and that's why the conversation and the workshop tomorrow is going to bring not only public sector actors but also private sectors, so that we can all consolidate what we're doing in order to address these challenges, not only the cybersecurity challenges, also data protection challenges. We already have now also the National Data Protection Commission that is working on ensuring that people's data are protected and as confidential as possible, so that you can have trust when you trade online. Also infrastructural challenges. We're dealing with broadband connectivity right now. At the moment, our penetration is about...
Because that's another important thing. Connectivity. I'm sure you saw
Zoom network freezing, sort of.
It's freezing.
Yes.
Yeah,
but when somebody is joining us from the UK or from the US, the network is absolutely clean.
Oh no, but if you compare it, right, we're doing very good in Nigeria in terms of our internet connectivity. Look at it, everywhere you go, you're chatting with people, you're on Twitter. It's not that bad.
But still, some people will call you and say, I've been calling you since morning, your line is not going through.
No, but if you look at it, right now, our internet penetration is about 55%, right, and it's above the average of 43%. But the government is doing very, very well. We're doing more programs on it. I'm sure you're aware of the the program by the Federal Ministry of Information and Digital Economy. This 774 connectivity, broadband connectivity to the rural areas, and also private sectors are also contributing. So the major players are digital economy is a key.
Okay,
to
let's look at the $1 trillion economy that President hopes to yes, in 2026.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, for us to do that, if we are to key our digital trade, what areas of trade are we targeting within the FCTA?
Okay, so what area of trade? So we're targeting all aspects of trade, and then yes, that's a key economic vision. But $1 trillion economy, is it within our reach? Absolutely. Why is it within our reach? Digital economy, technology. And then if you say what we're trying to do, we're trying to export goods and services. I need to also remind you what my principal, the Vice President, has always talked about, which is the global outsourcing, which is almost $360 billion space. And recently we've launched a program in the Office of the Vice President known as Outsourcing to Nigeria Initiative, where we're trying to export talents and also try to capture the approximately $9 billion business process outsourcing market. So are we going to achieve the $1 trillion? Absolutely. It's just when 2026, where are we now?
It's just around the corner, actually.
In the next 2 years.
If you look at what the National Export Promotion Council has said with regards to exporting services, in Nigeria, the digital services have been the one contributing to the export services. And then I'm sure in the next 2-3 years, the projection is $90 billion. So there is no doubt. The reach is there. Digital transformation will drive it.
Yes, indeed. Experts say Nigerians have made some progress, but strategic investment and innovation are needed to reach its full potential. We see what Naseni is doing. So what specific economic benefits can Nigeria, embrace, and how does the government, hope to have a strategy that will align with the global trend towards digital trade? Like you said, we might start exporting skill to other countries.
Yeah. So, with regards to the economic benefit, it's all there. We already know we're the largest economy in Africa. And then with regards to the digital trade aspect, we just need to go and position ourselves, protect our interests in there. It's going to bring a lot of economic benefit with regards to job employment. We already have the resources out there. One of the whole idea of the Renewed Hope agenda is we're going to train 1 million youths on digital skills by 2025. Right now the programs are there, 3MTT from the Federal Ministry of Information and Digital Economy. We also have programs from NITSDA. So already in there, the employments are going to be there. We have also our tech spaces there. We have a lot of startups in Nigeria that are all going to be in there tomorrow for the programs.
Exactly. I was going to ask you, what are the expected takeaways? What are we going to hear tomorrow? And by the way, I'd like you to explain to us e-commerce and digital trade. What's the difference? Because everything is on the digital space.
Yeah. So when you go e-commerce is a subset of digital trade. Commerce is just buying and selling. But when you go about digital trade, it's beyond just buying and selling. It's actually trading. You're not just looking at you're looking at taxation. You're looking at cross-border payments. You're looking at e-commerce as part of it. You're looking at harmonization of different digital tax charges. So it's quite on a broader platform.
A great rule of regulation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the conversation has already there. Negotiations have been taking place. So right now we're not even thinking about Nigeria preparing for digital trade. We're looking at adoption of the protocol, and that's what the conversation is tomorrow. Come here, private sector. Come here, public sector. We're going full blown out. We're adopting, and that's what the Vice President is pushing. That's what the President is pushing. So we're going all out. So within the next few years, we're going to blow up the space in Africa.
The Vice President is somebody like, he's like, just blow up the space. The Vice President is always open to new innovations, especially in the technology. It's just like a Gen Z when he comes to play with computers and all that. So the digital skill knowledge gap still remains. So how would this conversation in this workshop be able to identify diagnose the challenges and sort of profile solutions to it? Because if Nigeria gets on digital space, I believe they will explode.
Yeah. So obviously, without the digital skills, you can't digitally trade. And like I said, we already have a lot of programs on ground. The vision of the country, based on the renewed Hope agenda, is to have 1 million youths trained by 2025. It's already in play. We have so many programs out there, not only from the public sector, but from the private sector, to enrich, to instill Nigerians to learn more on digital technologies. So again, the conversations will be out there. More importantly, how do we reach the underserved areas? Not only even the underserved areas, how do we even look at gender? How can we bring gender skills into technology? Not even gender skills. We're even going to have conversations on people with disabilities, because everyone trades right now. So these are the conversations. We're coming up with a robust strategy. Like I said, if you look at the way conversations on digital trade has been going, it's been going in silos, but right now we're bringing everyone in there to come up with a robust strategy on how we can navigate a full adoption of this digital trade protocol that not only enhances economic growth, but also provides freedoms for Nigerians to live a better life in line with the renewed Hope agenda.
Let me just take you off, off your trajectory. And I'm just thinking about the ECOWAS protocol on free movement, goods and services. It provides free, unhindered access for members of the ECOWAS community, both good persons and goods. So they are free from duties, they are free from tariffs or whatsoever. When you do, within this digital trading space, does that apply, or will that apply?
It wouldn't fully apply, but that's why there's been negotiations. There's been negotiations around currencies, around taxation, but we would have a unified market. That's the whole goal, to have a unified market that serves the African continent. And that's where Nigeria comes in, where the largest economy will go in there to protect our interests. That will also be beneficial, not only to Nigeria itself, but to Africa as a whole, and more importantly, ECOWAS, that's part of what? Subset of Africa.
Yes, but talking about protection, this digital trade, you can do anything from home. You can order anything from any part of the country. How will you protect consumers from scavengers and shenanigans out there?
So how do you protect consumers from different areas? You have the consumer rights and protection agencies out there. Not only them, also more importantly, their data security. So these are all conversations, these are all negotiations that have been going place, and most of the interests have already aligned. So like I said, at the moment, we're not negotiating anymore, we're adopting. This has all been what captured in the digital trade.
So one who will be attending the workshop too?
Oh, we have, it's a high-level engagement. We have some very, very strategic partners that will be coming from public sector, because when you talk about trade, when you talk about digital trade, it's two key elements: technology and trade. So we have people from business side, trading side, and we have people from the digital space, and we also have private sectors. We have donor agencies coming, and we have also people coming from the global space, from the UK, so it's a high engagement, and it's going to take place, like I said, at the presidential villa.
Okay, you said, probably this should be the last question. You said when this starts, it will blow up the space.
Explode.
Not with explosives.
No.
Yes, no, I understand that, but we do hope blowing up, because the only way that can happen is if you are able to, if this strategy is able to reduce or shrink the rate of unemployed youths, the rate of underemployed youths. So is this able to generate employment for this population?
Absolutely. So if you look at it right now, I think at the average, I'm trying to I think we have a rate of about 55% of businesses in Nigeria that are online, But what we're trying to also ensure is we're trying to get these businesses out in the global space, and the digital trade platform helps. And more importantly, again, what we'll discuss in the program tomorrow, and even what will be launched also, is we're going to take 1,000 businesses into the online space and provide them with e-commerce platforms. So employment is in there with the support of Suburban Technologies.
Yeah.
So it's going to enhance, I mean, you called me a Gen Z, which I'm not. But if you look at also if you look at the Gen Z characteristics, a lot of them are very, very entrepreneurial. A lot of them are very digitally savvy. With the adoption of this protocol, you understand the numbers in terms of youth employment. A lot of them might end up just staying at home and trading. That's what they do. And that's why it opens up the economy.
That's beautiful. And Dr. Saliu Dasuki, it's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure.
Special Assistant to the President on ICT Policy, Office of the Vice President. Also, Senior Lecturer Information Systems in Manchester Metropolitan University. He has a PhD in Digital Development. The youngest in Northern Nigeria then at 24. So thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure having you, and I hope you have a successful workshop.
Thank you very, very much.
So Claire?
Yes.
We're rounding up.
All right, and that's been Good Morning Nigeria, another edition gone by. We look forward to having you join us again tomorrow. I am Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And I am Jumo Yusuf. As always, join the digital world and digital market to make a lot of money. Bye-bye.